You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Of this game that is wildly fascinating to me because I think I say largely mixed bag, but I think it's been pretty good overall, is your special teams versus what they're doing, because that's really what caused the head coach to drop the F-bomb on TV and to just do his post-game press conference with his arms crossed, which was really bad body language. You're always taught that. Like, that's bad. I mean, you're sending off some vibes, even if you're not meaning to, the arms crossed. It's not
some vibes definitely coming across.
It's not portraying the right image, coach.
Let's go ahead and take a listen to this, because if you hadn't seen it, let's let the people in on what we're talking about. And it does relate to something you were just touching on from Texas Tech's perspective, all about you. Not shooting your own toes off and things like that. And that seemed to be a similar theme when it comes to the week 2 experience for Oregon State head coach Trent Bray. Here he is in all his glory.
Today was just a calamity of self-inflicted wounds that we just couldn't recover from. Almost did, but couldn't.
We've allowed ourselves to create their success, both in special teams, joke, right? And then on big plays on defense, 2 long runs for touchdowns that shouldn't exist. They did nothing to harm us. We got to stop killing ourselves.
Outperformed them in every category except one, and when that's the only one that matters. I let my frustration at halftime. Apologize for my language, but frustrated because we gave them the game. I mean, we spotted them 21 points on blunders. That it's just frustrating to see, and it's frustrating because the guys put in the work to perform, and to lose this way for the second week in a row is frustrating.
I'd say the frustration is palpable, Chris. Taking loss number 2 so far. As many tries.
I got home from the Jones the other day, and I've, like a sicko, I think I mentioned this to you, I flipped over to this game and I heard him drop this on there. Called my wife in the room and I said, did that really just happen? Like, and then we rewound it, and I'm like, no, it did. I mean, you can't. And then the best one was when the offensive lineman's walking by the official calling it number 64, who was called for holding, and he drops the same word, and the TV guy goes, "That seems to be the common theme around here today." And I just was like, this is all just so great. Oregon State and Fresno State to be so wildly entertaining, I'm just clearly sick and twisted, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Look, they've lost 8 of their last 9 games. There are people that in Corvallis that feel like Coach Bray is in over his head, and there's just all the sharks swimming in the tank there, kind of feeling like, okay, this is a matter of time. This isn't going well. I mean, they play Oregon next, and they play Houston. Which is funny is you've got this little 3-way dance going with you and Oregon State and Houston, because you play them this weekend, and then the weekend that you're off, your bye week, Oregon State will host Houston, and then you'll play Houston the following weekend. So there'll be some film that I'm guessing you can kind of do some comparisons with. But yeah, they're special teams. They had 6 false start penalties last week. 6.
No wonder his arms are crossed.
Their deep snapper broke his hand, and I think either in preseason camp or in the first game, so he's out. And so they used the guy that was the deep snapper last week in the game, and it was a variety of mixed results. And so
I think he said a calamity, Chris.
Yeah, and I think I heard the term headspace. Yeah, he's going to have to do it. It's a headspace thing. We'll get him right. So I don't know what to expect because you had a soccer punt that was ran back for a touchdown. You had a pick 6 that ended the game by the backup quarterback. So there's just a lot going on here, and it's probably going to be really good for them in some ways to get out of town and go on the road. I do think you'll get a motivated team. I don't know how well connected they'll be. Are they about to fall apart? Are you just going to run over them, or will you get a really good fight from a really, what I guess now I would consider a group of 5 program that's got some pride to it and has had some big time alum that have played for it? You know, I mean, we were talking about this earlier. I don't know if you want to mention your story on your favorite former Oregon State Beaver, but
why don't you lead with yours? Let's make some friends in Corvallis. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly feel the call of the stadium. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. And with the money you save on tickets, you can then splurge on foods, drinks, gear, and more. Gametime makes it all possible. And best of all, Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get the first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. And if you're like me, you get tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal, and that's why Gametime's Zone Deals is the go-to move, since it automatically picks the best seats in your section for you at the best price. And as always, you can get a view from your seat right there in the app, so before you buy, you know exactly what you're going to see. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use our code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed.
Well, I mean, think about it. Chad Johnson, TJ Hushmanzada, Brandon Cooks, Steven Jackson, Jacquizz Rodgers. I mean, Derek Anderson, the quarterback. I mean, there's been some guys that have come through this thing that have played in the NFL, and
mine, and Ontario, the Wizinator Smith.
Yes, there's your
just
guy.
To complete the list.
Yeah, there's your guy. So, I just, I don't know. I don't really know what you'll get from them, but I do think you are preparing for a step up in competition. I think that you are anxious to play somebody that most of these kids can play and use on their video game. Right? I don't know if UAPB is on the video game when you're playing college football. I don't even know if Kent State is. Maybe they are, but Oregon State definitely is. And it's funny because that's what some of the players were like. I mean, that's the only reason I know them is because you can play with them on EA Sports or whatever. So there's all that. Yeah, this is.
Hey, hold on. I got to fact check myself too, man. If we're making friends in Corvallis, I ain't gonna do it this way, blaming them for Oregon's troubles. Ontario, an Oregon Duck. That's my bad, Beavers. My bad. Not your problem. It's the state of Oregon's problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Formerly you would have thought, okay, upgrade in non-conference scheduling to a certain degree. Even given that maybe they'd been on a downswing program-wise, it's one that clearly had played plenty of competitive and then some football in its history. But unfortunate for them, obviously, in Washington State being in the position that they were, to suffer that. And we kind of get that experience, I guess, a couple times around non-conference wise, but hopefully this one goes better than that.
And I mean, first of all, you're going to go to Corvallis next year. So this is a return trip next year. This is what, never been to Corvallis, Oregon. I don't even know if I've been to the state of Oregon, but I'm about to find out in early or I guess in September of 2026. But I think that's a good point to make when you mention the Washington State component there. Now, I don't think they've got John Mateer at quarterback because I think you're seeing that John Mateer may be like a Heisman Trophy candidate this year playing for Oklahoma. But
it wasn't just us.
No.
It made him look that way.
No, it wasn't. That's the game that Taj didn't play in. But it's worth mentioning. These were the two that were left out, and then there's some similarities here. These are proud blue collar type teams from these outposts, if you will, from these beautiful places. There's just not a lot of population and all that, but they've had players come through there. They've had successful. I mean, they've had 2 10-win seasons since 2006. Now, there's been plenty of seasons where they've been really bad too. And I think that their fan base is them. They were booing them last week.
Oh,
so
no.
But Trent Bray was kind of one of their own. He was a graduate assistant. Then he was the DC. And then when Jonathan Smith left, it's like he was the promoted guy. He's either going to be the right guy for the job, or as some are saying, he's in over his head, whatever. But he's passionate. We know that. He's very passionate.
He is very passionate and very frustrated. Come on, Beaver Nation. Don't get down on your boys. You're better than that. Who do you think you are, Utah? All right, Chris, before we get out of here, we've got to get to an interesting story in the Big 12 Conference, because I feel like the word unprecedented can be used in relation to this. Maybe you can remind me of a time where a precedent was actually set, but if you are not seeing this yet, catch up now on the Big 12 Conference removing an officiating crew from an upcoming game assignment due to